Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. This is my first movie review video. I normally do movie reviews on Snapchat, just a quick rating, but I'm like, why not just start doing videos on movie reviews since I am a horror girl. I love horror movies. I love going to horror conventions. I love it all. So I'm like, why not? So as y'all see, Miss Bunny had to come in and jam to Sway songs since it came out. Shout out to Sway. Go ahead and go listen to it on Amazon, Apple Music, and all that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Backrooms. Yes, I went to go see it yesterday. And I'm seeing a lot of 50-50-50.
Look, we gotta call a spade, bro. This movie sucked. I'll be honest with you, bro.
Was a 1 million out of 10. Probably the best movie I've ever seen.
What type of bullshit is this? Ass. 3 out of 10.
The Backrooms movie was bad.
I think we're past by A24, and it is a phenomenal movie. And I know y'all.
People saying it's good, people saying it's bad, people saying it's trash. So this is gonna be my quick review without spoiling the movie, because why would I spoil it? Like everyone else is already doing. So this remind me of this. Backroom remind me of Stranger Things. The only part, well, before I get into that, let me stop before I get into that.
Slow down.
Before I get into that, because that's just my main thing. Like, it just reminds me so much of Stranger Things with a different storyline. You get what I'm saying? So basically, from what I got from the story, my rating is going to be an 8 out of 10. And the only reason why is because the way they advertised the movie. And I think that's where they messed up at, which is why it's a 50-50 review. Now, mind you, to give a little backstory, Backrooms was just a picture on, I think, Reddit. It was like a creepypasta. A YouTuber ended up taking it, making little videos of it, basically doing his little thing with it. That YouTuber ended up creating this movie, being a part of this production with A24. Shout out to the YouTubers, shout out to the short film creators that are coming in and making movies. Because it started, I think, well, I don't want to say where it started, because I know Shane Dawson and all of them, we not talking about them. We talking about, in the horror category. Shout out to Talk to Me Too. They were YouTubers. Probably like the best movie I have seen with A24. Shout out to them. But shout out to the YouTubers, because Obsession, that dude was a YouTuber as well. And that movie, I haven't seen it yet. I know I haven't seen it yet. But it's been 10 out of 10 from the clips I have seen. The storyline, everything has been a 10 out of 10. So shout out to him. And the shout out to all the YouTubers that are getting into filming and production, and to bringing their arts and creativity to life. And I think that's where the problem is at, because they started off with this idea already. They're not trying to perfect it to our level. They want to perfect it to their level. You get what I'm saying? So for us horror fans and things like that, we used to scary stuff. And especially from the Backroom game, seeing the little black little scribble scrabble, this entity. Seeing that, compared to this. Long John Silver, Captain, yeah. You know, I guess that's where everything just shift gears because it's not a scary movie. It's not a thriller. It's not a horror. It's a suspenseful movie because the way they advertised it was making it suspenseful. Like, what is the monster? Is it going to be a monster? What's going on? Is it because, it's just our minds are so filled, with mystery. Yeah, that's what it is. A simple mystery movie. Do not consider it a horror movie. And they advertise it as a horror movie, and that's where they messed up at. And I think that's what a lot of creators do. They add certain movies in a horror title when it's not a horror movie, especially with some video games. Um, just like, let's see, like the Until Dawn. It wasn't scary. I didn't like it per se because, the game just gave a better story, and they, even though they didn't want it to be like the game, but then was like the game, but it was just like, it just wasn't it for me. I don't know. I fuck with the game better. The game was already a theatrical game, so I just like that better than the actual movie. My opinion, Now the Resident Evil that's coming out, I'm going to go see it. I love it. That Resident Evil movie that is coming out remind me of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Instead of following Ethan's storyline, they following a different storyline, kind of around the same thing. Someone being by themselves, getting attacked by monsters. 10 out of 10. They got me in, But Backroom's trailer, it didn't fully get me in. It was so much of a mystery because I knew it was a game. So that's why it was just like, it's a game. I want to see what they do with it, especially within it being a horror game. You would have thought they would have shot this up to be a horror movie, but that's not where his head was at. His head was at bringing his YouTube videos semi to life, semi into a long production, and that's why the ending kind of ended that way because from what he said, he want everyone to create their own endings. So let's go ahead and get into the breakdown without spilling it. I would try my best not to spill it. So basically, what I took from it was that both semi-main characters had trauma, right? Both were so stuck in their trauma. And you would have thought the man they showed in the trailer was the final guy. No. There's a final girl. And she's not even the final girl. Because technically, she made it out, but she didn't make it out. You'll see if you watch the movie. So basically, from what I got from the Backroom experience, instead of focusing on the outside, because again, they both was going through things, they both had trauma, they both wasn't over it, they both still tried to live life, and it's this. But now let's talk about the Backrooms, right? The only thing that semi-correlated with the game, with the videos, was the hazmat suits. The hazmat suits and the yellow walls. And the scientists behind it. I would say that's like the main thing. I feel like he took his videos, right, that he made with the hazmat, trying to, like, the scientists trying to figure out what's the back room is and things like that. He took his videos, took part of that game, and created a story that will semi-circulate around it, to where it can be a full-on production other than the scientists going into the back rooms, figuring out what's going on and things like that. Even one person said the scientists created the back rooms to the expansion. And the only reason why I say Backrooms remind me of Stranger Things, and by the way, Stranger Things, I think it was an editor or producer or something for Stranger Things, helped with this movie as well. So it kind of correlates now. It correlates, but the only reason why it reminds me of that is because the way the Backroom is. So it's like a living dimension that try to mimic Earth, but don't get every detail right. So it's kind of like how the Upside Down was mimicking Earth. That's how the Backrooms was doing. But instead of it just, mimicking it mimic memories, you know. It mimic things that's around them. It mimics things that's in their area, you know. And in Stranger Things, they just mimic the whole earth and whatever vecna, and yeah. So yeah. So it mimics what's in there. It mimics what's around them. It's a dimension that tries to recreate earth in their own way, so it mimic things. So that kind of gives it the explanation, but it don't get it correct. So that's why kind of at the end it was like telling someone to draw a dog. They've never seen a dog before, but they don't get every detail correct. That's what it is. So that's why when they created these entities, you know, they're not full on humans. They're like, they're what the dimension created, but they didn't create them correctly. So it's like they mimic humans by doing little things, but it can't mimic them fully because, you know, they really haven't fully studied humans. But the reason why the hazmat suit guys haven't been fully mimicked, or they haven't, you know, recreated them or anything, is because they in a hazmat suit. That's why I say it's kind of like Stranger Things. You know, you go up in there, you can get sick and things like that. It just,
bro, what the fuck is you even talking about, bro?
It just bumps. It bumps. It bumps with Stranger Things. The hazmat suits, the scientists in the upside down, the hazmat suits, the scientists in the back room. You know, it just correlates. And if you really want to be honest, the back room been out before Stranger Things, right?
No ma'am. No ma'am.
I think so. I think so. But anyway, it correlates. It just fits right in, you know. So it just, you know, it just together.
Forever together, forever.
Oh my god, no.
Locked in.
Right? It's not just this little similarity, it just fits in together. And that's just my opinion when it comes to, you know, comparing the two. But again, they didn't copy the hazmat suits because they were protected by the hazmat suits. But when people who are not protected go up in there, it mimics them, create them, like go based off their memories, go based off their trauma, and try to reconstruct what's in their mind to the best of the dimension abilities. Now, what I wish they would have done would have turned this motherfucker out. I wish they would have made this shit so, like, I think that's the thing with YouTubers. They focus on expanding what they started instead of trying to change it. Because I'm a horror girl. I love horror. And, you know, to me, horror movies not even, like, it's comedy to me. But when it came to Evil Dead Rise...
Mommy's with the maggots now.
10 out of 10. Nobody was spared. No kids, no mama. That's horror, that's bloody, that's gore. I love it. No one is spared. I like those movies. I don't know why. You know, because, like, it's always a soft spot for kids. No. Don't have... The Mummy? The Mummy?
I want to know all the things about you. Like what? Like how your little piggies taste.
Ooh. Yeah. 10 out of 10 for The Mummy. No soft spot for no kids. That director right there, he deserved a reward because he be knowing what he doing. And I can't wait till that new Evil Dead movie come out too. I'm gonna go see that as well because 10 out of 10, it's just, you know, it gives that energy. And I just love it. Like, I love the energy that it gives. I don't know about the first one. I'm not gonna lie. The first one, when they was in the cabin, it just gave cabin in the woods. But these two that recently came out, and you get to see the trauma and the backstory and things that other people are going through, and then boom, nobody is spared. No kids, no nothing. And every death get gruesome. Now, in The Mummy, it really wasn't no deaths, except the grandma. And hers wasn't gruesome, but it was just the demon, the kids, you know. No holding back. Not making it unrealistic, like kids cannot get, you know. I'm not going to go deep into that, but you know, if you know. So 10 out of 10. But with the Backroom, they should have took it further. They should have done their 10s. Instead of making this entity look like that, they should just had to. And I think that's what it was. They probably had the little black little squiggly thing as entity, but since the main character, I want to say he first, but then he's not really the main character because you really don't. He's not narrating. You really don't see him first. So I would say the second main character. Okay, he went into the room, so the world basically end up mimicking him, because he will also dress up as a captain and as a pirate, all this and that, and plus the what's it called, the mascot of the shop where the back rooms was of a captain, so of a pirate, a captain pirate, whatever the fuck he is. So yeah, I just didn't like this. I didn't like it. I just felt like it should have brought more horror, because even towards the end, it semi got confusing, because it just like you went from being scared to feeling bad, because it's like you went from being scared thinking, oh, he's trying to, but then it's just like it seemed like he reaching out for help. I'm not trying to spoil it, but that's what it gave. And then when you kind of get more towards the end, you kind of see, and what I got from that was, the scientists really just ruined the dimension and just kept irritating and messing with it and things like that. And it probably just want to be left alone. It don't want to be bothered, things like that. So that's probably why, the Backroom was using the humans and entities that they created, trying to reach out to therapists, whatever. It just what it is at this point. But honestly, I'm going to stick with my rating, and the only reason why is because of the beginning. They got an 8 because of the beginning, because in horror movies, you see the demon, you see the ghost, you know what it is from the jump. You just want to know how this next family gonna survive it. You didn't know what the fuck grabbed that man. You didn't know nothing. You were in the dark. So it was suspenseful. It kept that mystery, like, what is the entity? And throughout the whole movie is a suspense, because you don't see the entity till the end. And this is what you see. From all the suspense built up, from all the kills and all the blood, it really wasn't a gory movie. It was no bloody gory movie. Like, you really don't see the kills. You see one kill, and that's just your second main character. And the only reason I would say he died the way he died was, from what someone said, was because they was, since the entity created him, since he'd been in the upside down, the little backroom world, and he was eating on them people, it just mimicked him and just ate him. But it really didn't eat him, you'll see. But yeah, so I would say just not knowing what it was should have kept that suspense, because then it's just like your emotions change, like you see it and it's like, what the fuck? Like like, this is what y'all afraid of. Now mind you, he's a big some bitch. He's tall. He's tall as hell. And that's the only thing that is scary, is the height. But if you put some different music behind it, it'll be funny as fuck.
Go, Kylie, go. Good job, Kylie. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't scary, So it shouldn't have been in the horror category. It was more a mystery, suspenseful movie. And that's how it should have been. That's what it should have kept it at. That's where it needed to stay at. Just suspense. But that's it from this movie review. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening.